Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney. I got a special guest here today, Mr. Alan Whitworth. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Guys, be prepared because this man's story is a wild journey, to say the least. We have a lot in common, so you'll see a lot of similarities. I read his book he's got out. That was amazing. And he's a wild man. He might have like 20 businesses. We don't even know. I don't think he knows, but we're going to talk about all that. So why don't you get him started where you want to start, my brother? I think you know where I want to start, but let's talk about childhood, growing up, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up pretty white trash. You know what I mean? It goes without saying. A single mother, and she had 3 boys. We're all about 5 years apart. You know, we're all pretty interesting individuals, but yeah, she was never home. And I grew up latchkey, and yeah, dude, super white trash. Grew up super white trash in an environment that really didn't have a whole lot of good influences for you. I can't even think of a single good influence. It was terrible, actually. But the thing about it is, though, I was talking to a friend of mine, Victor Miljesic. He's actually an immigrant from, I believe it's either Croatia or Russia. I don't know specifically where it's from, but he was saying that he was bullied a lot when he came over. And I just made the comment because I'm a big dude now. You know what I mean? I'm 6'4". I'm right around like 215. Really, I'm relatively lean. But when I was growing up until I was about 15 years old, I was the smallest kid on the block. I was tiny. So I got picked on a lot. But bringing it all back into play, what he and I both could take away from being bullied, other than the fact that neither one of us like bullies, is that it really makes you mentally tough. It makes you durable, you know. I think a lot of people like look at their circumstances in life and think that, oh, this happened to me, poor me, poor me, poor me. But you could sit there and also say, hey, I gained a lot of ground that a lot of people don't have privilege to. You know what I mean? The bullshit that I went through. And I weirdly had a friend of mine, Paul Nearings, a long time ago tell me, he's kind of jealous of the shit that I went through that he'll never get a chance to go through. You know what I mean? And it's like
that's when you have to sit down and go, excuse me?
And bro, like on my way driving in today, I was thinking about this one little thought here, because like I used to think you had to walk through hell to get to heaven, right? And I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. I just think you need to get to the point in your life where you can appreciate what's around you. I saw this clip this morning, and I posted it on my Facebook, that like this guy says, can you prove that you're not already in heaven and that you're just fucking it up?
Oof. 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 That's
a good one, dude.
It was me all day today. Because it's funny enough, a month ago I was in Austin, and I was walking with a friend and his wife and their kids, and he said, Austin, you talk about all these things you want to get to. He goes, be careful that you're not living the life that you want currently. And I was like, oh crap. Like, that's true. Like this thing that I search for, this thing that we all search for, right? We're like in the middle of it, but we're so damn stubborn because we're type A's. We don't even realize that we got what we wanted. And that doesn't mean we're going to stop. It just means that we're going to be more present, I think, is what we're looking for.
And you know, the thing about it is, though, and you're absolutely right, but whenever I get to a point in my life where I'm pissed off about everything, where like a little detail here or a deal here or the way this person did business with me or whatever, you know, whatever the case might be, aggravates me and I can't get it out of, I mean, there's that saying, if it's not going to affect you in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it. It's easier said than done. We all know that, right? But if I just take a second just to start thinking about the things that I'm thankful for, I could just start with my wife and I could start with my 3 beautiful kids. And that right there is always enough to snap me out of it. You know what I mean? And it puts me back on course again. Mm-hmm. And I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of people live their lives right now stuck in that whole mindset of everything's fucking happening to me. I'm a victim of everything. I can't get out of this. There's no way to move forward. You know what I mean? I think most people live in that perspective, unfortunately. And it's not me sitting here trying to generalize. It's just like,
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. Don't you think a lot of people put themselves in that position though? Meaning with buying a house they can't afford, a car they can't afford, bills and everything, instead of realizing that life is super simple. And if this whole situation we're dealing with in 2020 has taught us anything, without the gyms, without the restaurants, without being able to go to work, is that you don't need a lot in life if you have your family and your health. And the people that I'm surrounded with, meaning you, my mentors, are doubling down on family time, are doubling down on who they are as a person, and they're thriving because they're choosing to focus on the right things and saying, maybe this was the wake-up call that America needed to understand that family is number one and personal sanity is like right there behind it, right? Is that?
Bro, I'm sure a lot of people are realizing right now that they can get their whole workday done, you know what I mean, in 3 hours, you know, because they're forced to disperse to their houses and do their work from home. If they're lucky to have a job right now, which a lot of people are. We're still at 11% unemployment rate, which is 2% higher than Obama's median. But anyways, a lot of people are realizing that they can be more effective, get that stuff done, and then spend time with their families. And honestly, dude, when the gym shut down the second time, okay, so they shut down the first time, they opened back up, and then they shut down again. I thought my life was back in play. I'm like, all right, I got the gym again. But I have a gym at my house, but I didn't even mess with it the first time. I was in a funk. I was like, screw this. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to destroy our country, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to LA or Lifetime Fitness, and then they shut down like a week later or something like that, or 2 weeks later. I don't even remember what the number was, but then Mountainside Fitness said, F you, we're staying open. So I drove 25 miles to go to a new gym. I gave them 2 months of membership dues for both my wife and myself, and I'm not taking it back. I'm not even though we only stayed open for like a week and a half or something like that. I just appreciated the guy standing up. Mm-hmm. What I did was got home and I moved my gym out of the garage where I didn't like the mundane environment, moved it into the family room. And now I was sitting there thinking this morning, maybe I'll never even go back to the gym. You know what I mean? Or maybe just do it just for like the energy. I like the energy in the gym, but I got like a new morning routine now and it jives with me. Yeah. You know, and then my kids actually see what I do when I go to the gym rather than assume what I do. You know what I mean? So it also is giving them kind of a more basis for the discipline that I have, I guess.
You're leading by example.
And it's not even discipline. Here's the crazy thing though. It's not even discipline, dude. That's like my morning coffee. That's like I need it it's like my air. You know what I mean? Like if I don't work out in the morning, I have a weird day. I'll have like a weird off day, you know, typically. So it's almost like instead of me being disciplined, because I had a friend of mine tell me that I'm the most disciplined person he's ever met, but that's not even true. Like I just do these little selfish things because I know what the outcome of my day is going to be if I do them. Mm-hmm. It's not even like a discipline thing. It's like a gluttonous thing.
Well, more. No, you're set.
As weird as that sounds.
No, you're setting the table for how you operate to be at the optimal part of who you are as a person, right? And everybody's different. You have to understand. You have to hack yourself. Like, look, I try not to be. I'll fucking raise my hand. I try not to be, but I'm a little vanity, a little bit, right? And I realize that I can't look at the scale anymore. I can't do it because the goal, the intention is to feel good. Okay, well then who cares? If you're gaining muscle, you're gaining weight, you're going all over the place, you can't control that. So why are you going to let your emotions yo-yo with a number that you can't obtain? So if you go out and know, I'm the same way. I am addicted, and I mean addicted to cycling. Like I feel like I can run a mountain after I get done cycling, and I have to get it in. It's like this little itch, like that I have to get in, and the workout's the same way. But I know that about myself. And there's people that like to work out at night. I don't. That's not me. I'm a morning person. I like to get it in. It sets the table for the day, and then we go forward. But to transition a bit, because I don't want everybody to think it's roses, because you're not going to get away without telling this crazy story. You're fit now. You got kids, wife, businesses are good. But let's talk about when they weren't. Let's talk about what you talked about in the book, and let's go back to the beginning of all that craziness so we can really explain to everybody how far you've come, because it's impressive and inspiring to me would be an understatement.
Okay, I just got to go detail for detail because this is going to be a long story. First time I ever smoked marijuana was in third grade. First time I ever did methamphetamines, I was 13 years old. First time I ever started living off of methamphetamines, I was 18 years old. And my house actually got raided looking for my meth lab. That was 13 or 14 years ago. And the reason let me even back it up all the way. And here's the crazy little part that everybody says stands out in the book, right? So I'm talking about the first time I used methamphetamines was when I was 13 years old. I go through the whole, what it does to you, what it makes you feel like, why I attached to it so much. And I was addicted to it for a long time. I'm lucky that I have my teeth. But you got to understand, though, my brother Jerry was the closest thing to a father that I had growing up. And my brother Jerry was 10 years older, or he still is 10 years older than me. He's still here. But he's an Aryan brotherhood gangster, right? So he was, I thought that when I turned 18 years old, that's what I was developing to become, was another prison gangster. So, bro, I grew up freaking ruthless as fuck, dude. I've never successfully been jumped by anybody. I've had people try. I've gone, I don't even know how many. I also didn't think of it as fistfights. I hated getting into a physical, actual squaring up with somebody and, going back and forth with somebody. I always felt that was embarrassing because I'd watch people do that. They wind up rolling around on the grass, right? So I was a big guy that I would like, and it was always other races mostly picking on me, right? And I would be like, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you, as I'm digging my back toe into the ground and hitting you as hard as I fucking can when you weren't expecting it. And a lot of the times that ended the entire, if people were trying to jump me, that ended the entire confrontation because they saw what just happened to that person, right? With one hit. And the reason I was big into one hit also was my brother was like that. He was like the one hit guy as well. And I'm going to be the one hit guy. And literally, I'm bigger than my brother is, dude. Like, look at this hand, dude. Everything on this hand is broken. Smashed tendon, broken, smashed tendon. So that was like the survival things that I went through. And it was like a constant PTSD growing up. Constant is like, am I going to get messed with today? Am I going to get messed with today? Am I going to get messed with today? I was molested by, 4 different people total, 3 by the time I was 13 years old. And the crazy thing is I was put into different circumstances that I didn't have any control over whatsoever, because, and I'm not going to blame this on my mom. She was doing her absolute best to keep a roof over our head and food on the table. But when a single parent has to work constantly to at least keep bills paid, and barely keeping bills paid, they don't have a lot of structure on their kids. So my wife has been in similar situations as well. We raise our kids like we're not the parents that are trying to hide our kids from everything, but we are very, very hyper aware of whatever circumstances that they might be in. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure that they don't have to. They can learn, because my kids have both read my book. They know all about me, dude. And I want them to take the things that I've dealt with in life, and don't sit there and look at it like I need to go through this bullshit to get to this. Just understand that where I'm at right now started 13 years ago. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, if it would have started, like if I wouldn't have had so much issues with drug addiction 35 all the way up until I was 35 years old or whatever, I could have been so much further right now. And I could sit there and regret it. You know what I mean? Regret all the time that I wasted in my life, or I could sit here and go, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So.
Hello.
I don't know what else you want me to say.
No.
A lot.
You did good, but you did great. But let's talk about, so you're using meth for that long, and tell the story about how you lived in that house because you didn't have anywhere to live, and your job was to basically like give the meth out and everything. That's how you got free meth. But you got so sick of it because you just wanted to be done with it. People would come to the door and you're just like punching them. Right? So they would go away.
Yeah. So basically what it was is I was called over to this house one day and by this girl named April. She asked if I could get her an ounce of meth. Right. So what I did was I call up my friend Wedo. Wedo is not a real name. He's like a cowboy hat, snakeskin boot wearing paisa Mexican guy. You know what I mean? I think he had a couple chrome teeth. Obviously didn't do any drugs, but he was delivering the drugs. Right. I just call him up, say I want an ounce. He tells me what it is. I want to say it was like $500 or something like that, and I sold it for $800. So I made $300. Plus, I was able to take some drugs out of the money out of the stuff because an ounce is a lot of meth, anyways. From there, the guys, they said, hey, we got this room. If you don't have a place to stay, you could live in this room or whatever. And all I was doing was basically paying my stay by bringing the guy that lives there. He didn't have to call anybody. He didn't have to get anything or anything. He was out of the picture. You know what I mean? He was like separating himself from it. You know what I mean? So that way he couldn't get in trouble in his mind. And I would just bring it there. Anyways, that turned into other people coming over and going, hey, dude, can you call Wedo? Hey, dude, can you call Wedo? And Wedo wouldn't talk to any of these other people. I couldn't give Wedo their phone or anybody Wedo's phone number. He would never respond to him. He would deal with only me. And I thought for a little while, I was like, hey, that's kind of smart. But the thing about it is what he was doing was he was hedging his bets. So he only has one piece of influence, right? Rather than a whole bunch of people talking about him, he only has potentially me. You know what I mean? Which makes a lot of sense. But I got to the point where I was just trying to quit, and I would sleep for days, trying to quit, and people would keep coming, and because I was living in the garage, it was a converted garage, they keep coming knocking on the wall. And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm trying to quit doing drugs. And people wouldn't leave. Or people wouldn't stop coming by. So I just started opening the door. I'd get out of bed, I'd open up the door, and I'd just start lighting them up. Push them, drag them out to the front, and just set them on the ground. I'm not like beating them up, leaving them for dead. I'm surprising the dog shit out of them. You know what I mean? Going, oh, maybe I should rethink this next time. Sure. Right? Because it actually got to that point. Then I think one of the people that I probably did that to, said that I had a meth lab, because at the time, I don't know what's going on now, but there was always the give up free, go free type of thing that the cops would produce for people that were in the drug world. So like if you snitch on 3 people, you get your charges released. So I think something like that might have happened. Never got to the bottom of it. Don't really care. So the garage itself the whole garage was like this, and there was like a quarter of it that was still usable garage space that you have to access from the garage door outside. I was in there one day, like tweaking out on something, getting something, and this freaking personnel carrier with 4 cops on both sides, full body armor, all of them with AR-15s, pull right up onto my driveway and start yelling at me to get down. And I'm like in the garage, like there's so much shit in there, you can't just lay down. Like I'm trying, I gotta get out to be able to lay down. Don't shoot me. I get down, the front door is unlocked. So they didn't need to kick the door in, but guess what they did? Kick the damn door anyways. My roommate, I think he was jacking off or something like that at the time, because they brought him, I'm handcuffed on the driveway. This is in, I think, August or something. It was hot, dude. It was hot as shit outside. I'm out there handcuffed. They bring one of my roommates out, and they put a robe on him, but then they handcuffed him behind him. And so his robe's wide open, and dude's buck naked. It's like you can't make this shit up.
You can't get that image out of your mind.
The crazy thing is, actually, yeah, that's a fair statement. That is a fair statement. But the reason I knew that they were looking for my meth lab, right, is they said the lead guy, he said, hey, Alan, where's your meth lab, right? Like, so I knew they were after me. I knew they were there. I never had a meth lab. So this is one of the things is like, I'm one of those guys that whenever somebody would start talking about how to make meth, I would shut them up instantly, because if I knew how to make meth, I'd be making fucking meth. You know what I mean? Like it just would have been happening. So I just made sure that I never knew how to do it. Anyways, because that whole story could have been completely different nowadays had I been in there making methamphetamines. You know what I mean? I'd probably still be in prison right now.
Yeah. So you.
The crazy thing about it is the arresting officer. Go ahead.
They arrested you, right?
The crazy thing about it is Oh yeah, dude.
So
I got a felony charge.
What was the charge, and how long did
I had a little bit of meth in my room. So I had a little bit of meth in my room. So here's the crazy thing. I had a refrigerator, a full-size refrigerator in my room, and I had it to where the bottom shelf underneath like as you open up your refrigerator, you'll see there's all plastic shelves. I cut and created a little hatch underneath the bottom shelf. So you literally have to lay on the ground and get up in there to get anything out of it. And it's concealed, like you can't even see anything. That morning, I had everything concealed before I went out to the garage. And then I just decided to pull my bong out and pull my little, like, I think I had like a gram of meth or something like that. And I smoked some meth before I went out, and I left it on my coffee table in my room. So that's what I actually got busted with.
And what kind?
So it's a felony, dangerous drugs possession. What's up?
What kind of sentence did that carry?
So at the time, because I've had assaults like growing up, there was a thing that said your first 3 drug charges you can't do any serious time for. Well, they wanted me to go to prison for 2 years minimum because I had violent offenses in the past. So because it took me out of that, it's like a 3 strikes rule or something like that, where they say you won't do serious time. All you're going to get is probation, intense probation, or whatever for your first 3 drug charges. Beyond that, you're having an issue, right? But because of the violent charges, that took me out of that category. I forget what the proposition was for that. But here's the crazy thing. I don't know if this is let me do this first. The guy that, let me do this. So my attorney, so I had my shit together. I quit. That was like the last day I'd ever did meth. Last fucking day. I got arrested. I was in jail for a couple weeks. I don't even know how long I was in jail. I had my friend go over to that house. I had a 63 Chevy C10. I had him load up everything that I told him was valuable to me, load it into the truck, and then drive it over to his house while I was in jail. So I never had to go back to that house again, which I never did. I got 2 years later, dude. 2 years later, I had my shit together. My son was on the way. I had no idea, and then I get this letter in the mail that the Attorney General, they're filing charges against me, and they're looking for 2 years of prison time after I've had my shit together for 2 years and I've been clean. So what I did was I had my shit together to the point where I could afford to use a credit card to get an attorney. So I actually got the attorney, I forget his name, for the Baseline Killer case, right? So I walked through this guy's whole scenario, and he's like, "Oh, I think we can get you out of this. I think we can get you out of this." And he's all, I have to tell you one thing about me, though, before you decide to go with me, so in case it's a conflict of interest. And he's like, "I'm the attorney for the Baseline Killer." And I was like, "Well, shit, dude, you're probably a good lawyer then, right?" Because like if somebody, I don't know, they found the best of best, you're high profile, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I thought I was going to see this guy when I showed up at court, right? I showed up at court, and this guy like walks up, super nervous guy, like all shaky and stuff like that, sits down next to me with his briefcase. He's like, "Are you Alan?" And he shakes my hand, and his hand's fucking drenched, dude, like sweaty as hell. I'm like, and I look over at my mom, and I go, I'm fucked. Anyways, we go into the deposition hearing, or whatever it's called, the arraignment, whatever. And then what they say is we're going to go out and sit in this other room, wait to talk to the prosecuting attorney. This dude walks up, and this lady comes out, and her first thing was like, "Oh my gosh, Chris, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in so long." And they hug, bro. They freaking hug. Dude, I got 18 months unsupervised probation, which I was off of in 9. I had like 200 community service hours, and then I had to just drug test. I didn't even have to drug test, bro. I didn't even have to drug test. and I got it reduced to a class 1 misdemeanor.
Dude, talk about
this is the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing about it, though. Like, everybody has a different term for it. It's God, it's the universe, law of attraction, whatever you want to consider it, whatever it is. As soon as you start deciding to do something specific with your life, providence happens, bro. Shit just comes in and starts helping you. If I wouldn't have got my shit together after that raid, I would have been in prison, bro. You know what I mean? If I wouldn't have had the ability to get that attorney, I would have been in prison. If I wouldn't have had the clarity of thought to deal with the situation, I would have been in prison. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing about it is the arresting officer that day, I don't even remember his name, buff dude, like a really good shape, good looking dude. He sat down in the interrogation room with me. I couldn't give up Wedo. I don't know where Wedo was. I don't know how to get a hold of him. There's a phone number on my phone. That's all I know about Wedo, and that's in my house. I don't know if you got it or not. It's there. That's all I know about Wedo. Anyways, he's like, what do you want to do with yourself, dude? Like, he's like, dude, you're like pathetic. What do you want to do with your life? And I told him at that point in time, I wanted to be like him. Now, here's the crazy thing. A year later, dude, before the whole thing with the court proceedings and all that other stuff, a year later, I saw this dude inside a Home Depot. I walked right up to him, dude, and I said, hey, bro, do you remember me? You raided my house about a year ago. And I shook his hand, and I said, thank you so much, dude. It's the best thing that ever happened to me at that point in my life. Absolutely was. Dude, he was kind of freaked out for a second. He's like, I raided your house. You know what I mean? Like, and like, you know, not knowing how I was going to respond, and I shake his hand and thank him for it. It's you have to be thankful in life, and that's where I go with the whole thing. Where you don't have to walk through hell to get to heaven. You just have to realize what you need to be thankful for. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I would have started my abundance mindset when I was 13 years old, instead of living in the scarcity world, you know, and I don't know that I had much control over it. I could go back and forth on that, but I'm not going to play a victim because of it. But ultimately, when I turned 18 years old, all my decisions were my decisions, right? If I would have started thinking the way I think now, then my life would be, but I don't know that it would be different. I don't know that, and I'm not going to say it would be better. It would just, I would have had that much more time to influence myself and influence people around me. And the thing that gets to me the most is there's a lot of people sitting here, my circumstances, I'm overweight, my job sucks, I can't get a better job. You know what I mean? It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you are the only thing in your way, period. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, dude. He grew up in a communist country. He said, there, you don't have any choice. You just have to live under the communism. You just have to make the best of your life. And he's like, that's what I did. He's like, I came over to America, and this is the greatest country on the planet. And he said, I could say that for a fact because of where I've lived. He's like, here, it's not an equal outcome for everybody. You have equal opportunity. Obviously, I'm not LeBron. He's like, he's Asian, right? He's like, I'm not LeBron James. I'm not this Hollywood movie star where I'm 5'4", you know what I mean? Or 6'4" and look handsome as hell. So I have to figure out other ways to be successful. You, like, people watching this might not be able to be successful in the ways that I am. Well, I actually, as far as business, that's not necessarily true. Not everybody can be 6'4", 220 pounds, right? Not everybody, you know what I mean? There's just, I got little small pieces of me that other people don't have. And that's very, very minute. As far as sitting there and just moving forward day to day, going like, hey, what's the next thing I'm going to learn today? And that's another thing that gets me out of my funk too, dude. If I start getting like freaking out about like things going on in my business where it just starts getting daunting, all I do is learn something. Like I literally just Google something and learn something to apply to my machine. And I feel good about that. And if you do that, if you learn something new every single day, that gives you 365 new little tiny nothing things that might have taken you 5 minutes to look up while you're sitting there watching TikTok for a fucking hour and a half. You know what I mean? You could have just sat there and Googled one little thing that you could apply to your machine or apply to your life and use. You'll have 365 of those little accomplishments at the end of the year. And those things pile up. The more accomplishments that you pile up behind you, the stronger you are as a person. The more confident you are in being able to help people be able to move to next levels. And the funny thing is, like, on a lot of my videos, a lot of people don't comment directly onto my videos, but I get a lot of DMs and I get a lot of phone calls. And the thing about it is like, people will sit there and watch them and watch them and watch them and finally get to the point where, like, go, I want to do something. I'm here to help, dude. Like, if anybody wants, I had a business model before, because I thought in real estate that your network creates your net worth. In a lot of places, that's absolutely true. The business model that I'm running right now in real estate, I don't need to know anybody. I have an entirely full board of deals right now. I'm not going to show you my board because I think it's tacky, but we're freaking killing it right now. And I don't need anybody in any RIAs. I don't need anybody in any meetups. I don't need anybody to help me do that. This is the interesting part about it. And when we're doing a lot of, and I'm sorry if I'm shifting here, but like when you have companies that you're dispoing your properties through, which I will absolutely use Chris Iman 100% all day long in Phoenix, Arizona. For that, he's my boy. He's always going to get my deals in Phoenix first. He's going to get first swing at everything. But I'm national right now. We're in 7 states. We're buying properties in 7 states, and we've got sub 2s in 3 states now. So, but the thing about it is like when you use another company to dispo all your properties, that's the lazy way. Like if you're too lazy to develop your backhand, you're never going to be a good. Tennis isn't really my forte, but in tennis you got a front or racquetball, you got a front hand and a backhand, right? If you only have a front hand, you suck, right? You have to develop your backhand. Your front hand is your acquisitions, and your backhand is your dispositions. If you don't work on your dispositions, then where are you going to be? You know what I mean? You're always going to be held up by somebody else to be able to sell your properties. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And me personally, I like to create my own fate. As soon as somebody starts squeezing me on limiting what I can do, I start figuring out how I can do it without them. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying don't have friends, dude, like you're a fantastic guy, dude. A lot of wealth building mindsets, a lot of successful mindsets. All I'm saying is take all the information that you can get and don't be lazy. Create your machines on the front side and the back side if we're talking about real estate. Right now I'm doing $200,000 to $300,000 a month gross on an Amazon store that I started 3 years ago, totally failed at it, and then threw an automation company on it. And now I think I've made about 30K this month. In the last 3 weeks, I've made 30K net. Anyways, that's not satisfactory to me. I'm happy with the accomplishments, but I'm never satisfied with anything. I always want to move to the next level. Well, this guy, he tells me, because I want to know. I'm the guy that if I can't intelligently explain it to somebody else, then I really don't know it at all. I shouldn't have $150,000 worth of equity in this guy's hands. You know what I mean? And he made it very clear to me that he's going to run his store the way I want to, and it's his service. When I hear stuff like that, what do you think that makes me think? I start building my own service.
I can learn and do it better. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Amazing. And so much in there. It's unbelievable. But what I want to focus on, and then we'll get into real estate stuff for newer investors, because that's a large portion of my audience, and I love what y'all are doing. I've said in meetings with y'all, I know exactly what's going on. I want to talk about getting arrested and the shift. And what can you equate that to? Was it somebody in your life? Was it a book you picked up? Was it like that was your rock bottom? What was because that's what everybody's looking for, is how you make the switch out of that wild story.
Honestly, bro, I think I'm not a religious guy. I'm not a go to church on Sunday guy, but like, I'm even getting misty, you even asking that question. I think God was in my ear for a long freaking time. And I was trying to fight my way out of that world for a long time. And finally the opportunity came. And the opportunity came in what could be perceived by others as a tragic event. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be tragic. You talk about the one guy that says what like, is there any really what like tragic things that happen to you? Is there really anything that you can't overcome? And here's the interesting thing about it is It's not stuff it's not like there's stuff that I think everything happens for you. You know what I mean? I don't think a single thing happens to you. I think you're handed opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, but it's like a Ford Festiva, right? Like this, I'm just using a joke of a car, but I don't know if anybody even knows what a Ford Festiva is, but if you buy a Ford Festiva and you own a Ford Festiva, now you see Ford Festivas everywhere you look, right? Mm-hmm. So what if you buy into opportunities that you're given and you actually realize they're opportunities? What happens to you then by default? You don't even have to try. You start noticing more opportunities all the time. And the thing about it is like right now, I've lived there where I didn't see opportunity in anything ever. I thought this was like some arbitrary thing. Like, yeah, successful people create their own opportunities. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell does that mean? I can't apply that to anything. Now I know exactly what it means. It's literally that whole theory of like that Ford Festiva. Once you have it, once you know what it smells like, once you know what it looks like, you know what I mean? Once you know what the steering wheel feels like, you see it in your peripheral all the freaking time. And this is the thing that I truly, truly believe. And I somebody could even try to debate me on this. I think as a human being, you are the most advanced piece of biological technology on the planet, period, hands down. There's nothing more advanced, more effective, period, than a human mind attached to a human body, period. Nothing. There's nothing on this planet more effective than that. So where's your excuse? You know what I mean? Where's your excuse to not do great things? And I think the more you do, the more greatness that you do, not that I'm great or anything like that, just these little tiny, tiny wins over and over again. I think the more you do, the easier it is to see. And the more and more you'll do it. You're saying, as far as the shift for me to start moving to that was my shift then. That was my shift from going from super fucking bullshit fucking mindset to mediocre me. You know what I mean? Which was a necessary shift. I mean, you can't go play Super Mario Brothers, dude, and you start on the 5th level, dude, and win, right? You can't. You have to start on the 1st. And a lot of people play the 1st over and over and over again, which I did for a long portion of my life. That was me. That was the shift, the mindset shift that moved me to the 2nd. And I could very easily say that I burned the boats, right? If you want to take the beach, burn your boats. I could very easily say that I couldn't go back. I literally had my friend that got the stuff out of my house, kick the door into my room. I told him, this is the way you're doing it. Kick the door into my room, load everything into the truck. And then I didn't tell him to do this, but my truck was in the backyard and there's an RV gate there, right? He didn't even open the gate.
So not only figuratively did you burn the boat, but symbiotically you said, I'm not going back, you know? And here's the truth. And you don't know this about me because I haven't told you. Last year, I burned the boats to get out of the restaurant business, which I've been in for 20 years. And I lost 26 grand. And when that business failed, in the first 2 days, I played victim, I played everything, and then something snapped. And I go, that was the boat that you needed to burn, no matter what money you cost. And guess what? I never went back to the restaurant business. So you can choose to look at anything any way you want. And yes, it was a failure, but it's gotten me to here. And so figuratively, you just ripped that Band-Aid off and you drove through that damn place, you know?
Absolutely, man. And I'm proud of you for doing that, bro, because I could get into a whole nother subject. I feel bad for the people that were shut down that are in the restaurant business right now, too. I mean,
of course.
Shoot, I think you might have just dodged. You just dodged a bullet, probably.
Look, true story. Not only did I dodge a bullet, I also got out of the Airbnb business for the most part too. So I dodged two, tidal waves. So
simultaneous.
I look at myself and I go, holy shit, dude. Like you literally got out of the way of and here's the deal. In life, this is really odd. Okay, I can't explain this. I have always left when the ship's about to go down. Like I feel it like right before and I leave. It's happened to me like 7 times. I can't explain it. But it's like the universe is pulling you in a direction. But what I wanted to talk about is that I interviewed a buddy yesterday, and I have one coming up later today that had drug issues, the whole thing. I find people that have been through, true story. You know about my life. There's so much.
Yes. Yeah.
Even the last 30 days, not 60 days. And I'm thinking to myself, like, did you really need like 8 rock bottoms to get to this point? But here's where we're at. And I know you feel the same way. Because we've been down there, we're so grateful to be up here, but also we've cultivated, and it didn't happen in a day. It didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen in a month. We've cultivated a mindset that it truly believe that nothing is impossible. Nothing. Because when you've gone down there, and the thing is, people don't understand. When you have a meth problem or you have a drug problem, they're like, dude, it's so easy. You look like shit. Get out of it. It's not that easy, because it's not the drugs. It's the things that you're telling yourself in your head that keep you down. And it's not until you break the cycle and get around people or just start bettering your life and surrounding yourself that the world, there's a great book. The reason that you want money is the reason you don't have it. And my buddy said, he grew up in a trailer doing drugs at 10 years old. Shit was wild, right? And he's got a company now, first year in business, $4 million in Dallas. And he said, my competition, awesome. He goes, my competition doesn't stand a fucking chance. He said it. He said, because I'm working an infinite sum game, because it's impact over profit. He goes, they're fighting for quarters. I'm fighting for 50 years. They don't stand a chance. And it's the truth. Me and you care more about the people that we can lift up and keep them out of the fray that we went through, right? And keep them out of the – dude, when I look at these guys and they're like 21, 23, I look at them and I want to fucking shake them, because I'm like, dude, I can save you a bad marriage and 20 years of an alcoholism. Just stop. Just fucking stop doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's what gets me fired up. You know?
The sad part about it, though, is a lot of people – have to go through certain things, or they're never going to. And you and I could sit here and go, hey, we could influence that person. Hey, I could help you with this. I could help you with that. Maybe if we got more and more creative with the way we did it, that would be more possible. You know what I mean? But it's like Grant Cardone was saying, I saw a video. He was like, yeah, sometimes you just got to eat shit. He's like, it's just part of life. You just got to eat shit for a little while. And like, okay, that's a pretty simple way to put it. And then I was talking to Nick Perry the other day, and I think this is I had a phone call there. Sorry about that. He said one thing that's going to stick with me, and this is not so much on like the mental aspect, but just something to hold on to. A lot of people think like in a wealth building arena that you need to get rich fast. Like everything's, here's your next get rich quick scheme. Here's your next. He said, I'm not here to get rich quick. I'm here to get rich for sure. Oof. Dude, I'm like holding on to that, dude. I'm like, I'm using that, dude. Like it
because what you're searching for and what inspires me about you and everybody that I meet. True story. You can answer this. Do we ever talk about real estate? We never talk about real estate. We talk about the father that you can be, and that's what inspires me, is because you've created a life that you want to show your kids that you don't have to go through what I went through, and I'm going to be present. I'm going to be a great example of a man, regardless of what happened down here. And that doesn't make me a bad person because I had to go through that. It just means that that's what I had to go through. And guess what? They'll have trials and tribulations too, but let's hope that they don't have to go to prison. Let's hope that they don't have to do those things. And that's what inspires me about people like y'all. It's not the business stuff is relative.
Here's one of the things though that I told my son and my daughter. I said that one of the things that I didn't have when I was growing up was a dad to come in and snatch me out of an environment. I told them, you better believe if you're holed up in a fucking drug house, I'm going to come kick the fucking door in, pistol whip the fucking drug dealer, put my fucking gun right in fucking everybody's mouth in that room and say, if they ever associate with you again, I'm going to fucking kill them.
Yeah.
And I'll do it, dude. I'll do it. And then I'll tell them, you call the cops on me. Let's figure out how this story is going to actually go. Sure. You know what I mean? Where's your DVR? I'm taking it. Mm-hmm. So anyways, like, I hope I don't ever have to get to that point. I hope that me and my wife are good enough parents that situation doesn't have to happen, because it astounds me. I'm being super light on the entire experience, dude. It was a nutty, crazy world to be in, dude, especially when you're around all elements of prison, like gangsters, Mexican mafia, Aryan Brotherhood. You're doing a lot of things inside that arena, and you're one of the people that people respect. You know what I mean? So I've been not directly involved, but I've known about things. I've helped a guy get to his shotgun in his house. I came to his house to buy something, moved him over to the other side of the room because he was in the middle of a home invasion. Got him to his shotgun. As I walked out of the door, he fucking blasted 2 people in his house. You know what I mean? That's the kind of fucking world that I was in. And he told me, hey, thank you, bro, for coming over and letting me get to my gun. You know what I mean? These are the weird little, there's a ton of them. There's so many of them, and it just sucked the life out of everybody, including myself, even rehashing through them. But the thing about it is, you're right. We don't really talk about real estate unless we're actually talking about a specific deal or something like that. Because really what it's about, it's not about the vehicle. It never has been about the vehicle. And a lot of people think about it like that. Hey, I need to get into this business, you know what I mean, to start creating wealth. No, that's the have, do, be mindset, right? So once I have the $1 million, I'll do what I need to do to get the $1 million, and then I'll be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. That's like asking for fire from a fireplace before you throw a log in it and light it. Or asking for heat from a fireplace before you throw a log in it and light it. You have to do the be, do, have, right? You have to be that person, you know what I mean, that could create wealth. Then you have to do the things it takes to create the wealth. Then you'll have the wealth. This is super common sense stuff, but people overlook this and get in their way all the time. And the thing about it is, like, I think mostly what we do, like, so when your network creates your net worth, it's because you're around like-minded people that are always driving and always pushing. You know what I mean? I don't need you to do a deal, right? But I'm affected by you. You know what I mean? And will we ever do a deal together? Who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, we own a fucking multinational company together. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of things that happen day to day. Mm-hmm. And dude, it's fun. Like people think that, I was sitting with a friend the other day, and he was sitting there saying, like, yeah, all these millionaires or whatever, they waste their whole life chasing the dollar or whatever, and then on their deathbed, they look back and didn't have time for their kids. Bro, I don't have to do a fucking thing. Yeah. Bro, I'm in my office right now here in Mesa, right? Nobody's even here yet. I didn't even have to show up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It helps. It helps the culture. It helps the energy. But I'm not the one doing all the work in here. It's the people that work for me do all the work. You know what I mean? I'm just here as a cheerleader. That's literally all I do.
You're 100% right. I had a client ask me the other day, true story. He said, Austin, what do you want out of this relationship? And I said, sir, you just told me that you want me to run a freaking 3-story house on a lake in Montana. I'm good. Dollar amount be damned. We're just going to have a fun time. I get to do cool shit with cool people. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. And here's what's crazy, right? You're 100% right. I'm going to touch on the cheerleader thing. Because I don't care, they want me to work for them. Because it's all relative. Like, if I was desperate, they'd be like, dude, this guy, screw that. But what people don't understand is they say, Austin, how do you do everything you do? And I said, y'all don't get it. I don't do much. I'm just a cheerleader. I'm just the face. I have cultivated and secured the right people that took me 10 months to go get these people, and they're great at what they do. I just had a talk with my assistant yesterday. I said, if we as a group focus on our strengths, then we are unstoppable. And if everybody is trying to do everybody else's job and doing a half-ass, then we're going to get nowhere. Plain and simple.
100%. I was talking to John because I offered to help the transaction coordinator by making some phone calls. He's like, no, dude, don't make any of those phone calls. Just let her do that. I'm like, you're right. And that's a lot of what we've done here is empowered everybody that works for us.
Yes.
We don't walk out We don't walk out and do. We don't go to houses anymore and try to close deals in person. That's completely out of our wheelhouse. We don't even think about that anymore. We don't do it. Every single one of our contracts is written over the phone, DocuSign, and we have great rapport and great presentation with people all over the country right now. We moved from what I would consider a pushing, like we're trying to scrape for these deals, right? We're trying to scrape and get whatever we can out of this insanely competitive Phoenix market, to now the deals just come to us.
Yep.
It's so much more easy. It's
because you've said what you're gonna do, you do what you say you're gonna do, and you execute on the. I told everybody the other day, hope ain't a fucking word in my vocabulary. We plan, we execute, we destroy. That's it. I don't need hope. Hope is for somebody else. And I'm going to do a rant later today.
100%.
I'm going to do a rant later today because it's happening more and more, and I'm getting sick of it. And I'll go off on a little tangent here. People tell me, hey, man, you're looking great. Keep it up. Go F yourself. You don't understand. And the reason that this podcast is named the way it is, it's a lifestyle. I don't travel because it's a good trip. I travel because it's my lifestyle. I don't eat healthy because I'm on a diet fad. I eat healthy because it's a lifestyle choice. I'm not a good person because it's a month, I'm having a good month. I'm a good person because that's who I am. It's my lifestyle. People don't get that. They're in for the quick fix. No, pun intended. I've constructed a life that when we wake up in the morning, we don't step out of bed. We fly out of bed because we're so damn excited about what we're doing, who we are, and the impact we're leaving on the world. And when you can do that, it doesn't matter that I have 7 podcasts a day. It doesn't matter that I already went hiking this morning. I'm going to go hiking again later because I'm building the life you wanted to. You could stop right now and spend every minute with your kid, but you love what you do because you're creating jobs and you're creating people around you to be inspired to work harder.
Check this out. So you take a Lego set, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go pay for that Lego set. Excited as shit. I got this Lego set. You pull out all the blocks on the table, and then you look at your directions, right? Okay, this is how most people live their life. They'll pay for a class, or they'll pay for this, or they'll pay for that. Pull all the fucking Lego blocks on the table and the instructions and just lay them there and go, work. Make me money. The one thing, and even like a 5-year-old knows this, the only way to get that product that you see on the cover of that box, that X-Wing fighter, is to take the pieces that you've been handed and take the direction and put them together. Physically put them together. Physically do the fucking work. This is, and that's the thing. When you said that hope thing, like, I don't even think hope's a real word, man. Like, here. Okay, if my wife is dying of cancer, I think I can legitimately use the word hope that my wife lives, right? Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about me being a 7-figure guy by the end of this year, hope's not going to get me there. Hope's not going to do a fucking thing for me. Oh, I hope I can make it. I hope, you know what? It just, whenever I hear that word, it's just like, it like stings. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It feels soft. It feels like you don't have control. That's what it feels like.
To me, it's like when somebody says, I hope this happens, what I hear is, I have already failed.
Mm.
I have already given up. And like, the thing about it is like, you mentioned you failed with the restaurant thing, but I don't even think that's the real right way to look at that, right? It was a lesson, probably an expensive one. Some are cheap, some are expensive, but you needed the lesson. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You probably have a lot more variables in your life right now that you wouldn't have had you not had that $20,000 lesson and that time invested that you lost, mm-hmm. right? Or you didn't even lose. So when people say failure, like in my opinion, fail as many times as you possibly can. Do some stupid shit. Like just make a blatant stupid choice. Mm-hmm. We're working on grabbing deals in states that we aren't aware of yet, right? We don't even know whether sometimes we don't even know whether it's an attorney state or a title state. And we're like, screw it, lock it up. Let's figure it out. You know what I mean? Learn how to fly on your way down, right? That's that Maddie and Tay song. Dude, I'm all about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Ready, fire, aim, bro. Don't even bother. Just try to figure out how to hit the target after you fire. You know what I mean? You can't sit here and be afraid to fail. Like I think a lot of us have it burned into our brain as we're growing up that failure is a bad thing. I think it's freaking phenomenally beautiful. What do you do when you work out? How do you get bigger? What do you do with your muscles? You push them to failure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you grow, right? Is pushing to failure. Push to failure with every single thing that you do. Push to failure. Fuck, fail just to be funny with it. You know what I mean? It should failure in anybody's mind. Failure in anybody's mind. Hold a second. It should be to the point where like it's like a warming feeling. You know what I mean? Like you should fail. Like, oh fuck, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, let's see the success on the other side of this.
Because I guarantee you'll get farther in life if you continue to fail forward. And the thing is that there's a large majority of people that continue to just absorb all the knowledge in the world but never take action. And it's everybody else that's taking action moving forward that's failing, that's making sure that they are learning, and like you said, and I'm going to wrap it up here with this comment, but
yeah,
this is what happened to me. True story. And I'll even say his name, Jamie Gruber. Thank you so much. I swear to God, changed my life. When that shit and I lost the money, he said, I'm going to ask you a simple question. He goes, first of all, have you ever owned a real business before? I said, no. He said, did you go to business school? Do you have a master's degree? I said, no. He said, well, then shut the F up. He goes, you just went to the best business school you've ever got to in your entire life. And then I was like, yep, you're right. And I just ran into my old business partner in San Diego like a couple weeks ago, and he looked at me and he goes, man, that shit was crazy, wasn't it? he goes, but I learned more about myself in that time frame than I've ever learned. And that was a 7-month span. And so I look at that as the rocket ship, the foundation for how I am here today. And I am honored, and I will forever remember losing that money. And it's fantastic. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And so it's awesome. But how do people, your videos are great on Facebook. You're putting out stuff everywhere. How do they get a hold of you? Your Instagram, your Facebook?
Let me real quick, just super quick on the Lego analogy, bro.
Sure.
When you buy that Lego toy, that X-Wing fighter, are you stoked after you put it on your shelf and never play with it again? Or are you stoked that entire time that you're building it? You're stoked building it, dude.
That's beautiful.
I build machines, dude. I'm not an entrepreneur. I just build machines, and it's fucking fun. You know what I mean? And then once I see all the parts are already done, like everything's in place, like I get bored and I need something else. Everybody, I don't have a big Instagram follower, but it's Alan David Whitworth on Instagram. I don't really do a lot on Instagram, but it's Alan Whitworth on Facebook. And anybody could reach out. I'd prefer you text me. I'm not a big phone call person, but my phone number is 480-506-6986 and 6986, and it'll be that for the rest of my life.
What's the name? And what's the name of the book they can pick up on Amazon? I loved it.
Yeah, it's The Mechanism, and I think the audio version, and I narrate it too as well. The audio version is like free if you're just signing up for Audible. It's $4 or something like that. If you're not, it's on iTunes as well. Just go on Amazon and search Alan Whitworth, and you'll see my book, The Mechanism. And the book is what is it? I think it's getting rid of a powerful method to get rid of addictions or get rid of bad addictions and create.
He goes into more detail in the story you told today, guys. You can't really go wrong. Alan, thank you so much, man. I really love talking to you, my brother. We could do this for 10 hours. So
yeah, for sure, dude.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Let's get some lunch here soon, dude.
Yes,
hang out
very soon, my brother. 1st of August. All right, my man.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Take it easy, bro. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.